Welcome to 805 Focus. I'm Dr. Cynder Sinclair with Nonprofit Connect, and we will be bringing you the latest on your favorite nonprofits. So get ready to be inspired. Our special guests today are Tory, Milazzo and Mary Solis with the St. Francis Foundation. Welcome, you two. I'm so glad you're with us.
Thank you, Cynder.
Thank you for inviting us.
Oh, yes. And so, St. Francis Foundation, I think I know you folks do fabulous work, and you've been doing it for a long, long time. And I think there are a lot of people that don't quite know what St. Francis Foundation does or why. So maybe you could sort of start there and fill us in.
I'll chime in briefly and pass it to Mary. The St. Francis Foundation has been in our community for decades. We grew out of the St. Francis Hospital that was a staple in the community for decades as well. One of the core programs at St. Francis Hospital was the parish nursing program. And as the St. Francis Hospital was winding down its operations, the St. Francis Foundation lived on, and as a part of that, the parish nursing program has continued throughout the community, really driven through a partnership with Cottage Hospital.
Okay.
And then subsequently, over the past decade or so, our emphasis has been on grant making, really throughout the community. And Mary's played a big role on our granting committee. So I don't know, how would you kind of expand on this story?
Yes, our grants are directed for support of 8 nonprofits that help in the area of healthcare, aging, and end-of-life care.
Okay, healthcare, aging, end of life. Pretty wonderful. So maybe give us some examples of some of the organizations and all their great work.
It really comes back to the spirit of St. Francis. And I think that Catholic or Christian tradition to really seek out those most in need. And the grants committee spends a tremendous amount of time. Obviously, there's a lot of need throughout our community, but having this focus on healthcare, it really provides an avenue for us to partner with organizations like Doctors Without Walls. I think is really kind of a textbook example of people who are doing street medicine to help those less fortunate. Back to the parish nursing program that has evolved over the years, but those nurses originally were providing health care, consultation in a number of different parishes and church communities throughout the South Coast. I guess that's another point worth making, is that our granting area is really the South Coast of Santa Barbara County. And so it's within that footprint that we work with all different types of organizations that are focused on those key areas. I think the aging, just given the demographics of the Santa Barbara community, we definitely work with organizations that are focused on aging, end-of-life care, and I think that's been an area where our grant work has probably grown over the past few years.
Yeah, we fund almost 40 agencies every year.
40?
And over the span of time that we've been granting, we've given out over $20 million.
Golly.
Yeah, it's really a remarkable story. The St. Francis Foundation, again, the origin of this nonprofit was the fundraising arm within the St. Francis Hospital.
Oh,
And
I see.
as the hospital wound down, obviously there were lots of pieces to that story, but the St. Francis Foundation was left with this amazing endowment that has supported, millions and millions of dollars of nonprofit support over the years. Much of that has, again, been through the parish nursing program. And as healthcare in the community has evolved, and the St. Francis Foundation itself has seen more of a need for support throughout the community, we've had the resources to make gifts outside of the parish nursing program.
I see. So, Mary, would you say, let's say somebody's watching and they work for an organization that focuses on end of life or aging or some form of health care like that. Would you say that they should maybe go to your website and apply? Is that how they do that? How do they make an application?
Yes, they could visit our website. It's stfrancisSB.org, and they are, if they're a first-time grant or if it's a first-time request, they would submit a letter of intent. So we review those to see if they meet our guidelines, and if they meet our guidelines, we invite them to submit a grant application.
I see.
And those letters of intent are due in January. So
all right. So the person goes on, and it'll say, submit your letter of intent
with the date.
And here's what we want. Here's what we're looking for, and then that happens in January, and the date would be on your website, and then they would submit that, and then you, the board, or your committee, decides whether it's within your parameters or not.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and the committee has really been able to build over many years great working relationships with most of our recipients. Most of the grantees have been partners of ours for 5, 10, or more years. With that said, the committee's done a lot of work to create a process that we accept new applications every year. Those applications are probably a little more involved.
Yeah.
But again, as Mary mentioned, I think upwards of 35 to 40 grant recipients every year.
That's a lot.
I think last spring we gave away $750,000.
Wow.
And the COVID era was so disruptive in many ways. It even disrupted the way we make our grants. But we're back to our traditional process of being able to bring the nonprofit community together and kind of celebrate those volunteers and professionals who are on the front lines of this work. Is really rewarding.
Well, this is great. And St. Francis Foundation is a nonprofit, a 501c3, right?
Correct.
So a person could go on your website, for example, and there's probably a donate button, and they could make a tax-deductible donation.
Indeed. Yeah. And we all try as board members ourselves to support the organization.
That's good.
We're open for donations. Honestly, one of the great pleasures, I think, of serving on this board is that we're not really out pounding the pavement for fundraising. Again, we've been blessed with this incredible endowment that we take it very seriously to steward those funds. One of the big initiatives that we were just talking about earlier is we are launching a legacy giving program or a planned giving platform. As you know, most of the great institutions in our town have been supported by benefactors who make bequests after they're gone. And actually, that's really been much of our endowment assets were received in that fashion. Specifically, we oversee 2 restricted funds that are specifically designated towards end-of-life care. And so that is kind of what has allowed us to broaden the focus or broaden the emphasis of our giving to incorporate new organizations.
That's great. So So Doctors Without Walls, what are some of the other ones that you
Sarah
worked with?
House, and
okay.
they do such wonderful work. They really service those who are dying and have very little resource, and so we can supplement some of that with our grant to ensure that those who are dying and in need are have a place to go to die.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's a wonderful
yeah.
organization. Another really great organization we support is the Cecilia Society.
Saint
or
Cecilia.
The Cecilia Fund, yes. And they are all run by volunteers, so there's no overhead. And their grants are given, again, they do a very thorough evaluation of anyone who submits a request where they are unable to cover the cost of their medical care. St. Cecilia Fund will step in and help cover so that people can get needed medical treatment, oftentimes life-saving medical treatment. So it's really pretty incredible what all these different organizations do. I mean, they're just right there with individuals, really serving them, and it's wonderful that St. Francis can help and meet those very, very important needs.
Yeah, in my mind, it's really just about the dignity of these people and we're supporting causes that are on the front lines of people who, are really truly could fall through the cracks. And it's, in this current era of incredible wealth disparity in our amazing local community, where the reality is there is great disparity here, for us to have a vehicle to try to give back and to try to correct some of those differences is, again, it's very rewarding.
I'll bet.
Yeah.
And Mary, tell me again, so you give out 40 a year-ish? 30
approximately.
to 40. They come, they put their application in January, and then did I hear you say you give the grants in the spring?
Yeah, so the committee is usually reviewing the grants for about 6 to 8 weeks.
Oh my gosh, how many are on your committee?
About 5 or 6.
That's a lot. That's a lot of work.
Yeah, there are site visits and
okay.
The committee takes its work very seriously, and but again, we're able to bring in new organizations, and I think we say healthcare, but we also, I think, take a very holistic view of that. There's work in counseling. There's work in nutrition with the organic soup kitchen.
Okay.
We're trying to, as the endowment has grown, we're trying, I think, to make sure that we do as much good as we can.
Yeah. And probably Hospice of Santa Barbara.
Yes. Yeah, they're a major partner of ours.
The neighborhood clinics.
Okay. Yeah.
And another thing we were touching on, and I think it is worth saying, I think this organization, the St. Francis Foundation, has really been present in many areas of the community, but the gifting is done in a way that's not, no one on our board is out looking for the accolades associated with this giving. That wouldn't be in the spirit of St. Francis.
So you're very much under the radar when it comes to fundraising. And tell us what you mean in the spirit of St. Francis, for those folks who might not know him that well.
Well, Mary,
I'll let you address that one.
Well, I think, if you're at all familiar with the story of St. Francis, that was I think we're talking, hundreds of years ago, Middle Ages in Italy. A gentleman born to a very wealthy family and who chose to relinquish his wealth and live among the poverty-stricken population, and help them.
And so help them. And so in his own quiet way.
Yes, I mean, much of that became really, I believe, his spiritual mission through the church. But you know, we have, I guess this is probably another important thing to mention. We're really a very non-denominational organization.
That is important. Yeah.
We obviously have that tradition of the Catholic Church, and there are members of the clergy who serve on our board. But we really look at the world and just look for need and try to fund that need.
Yeah. So as I think about your planned giving program that you're kicking off, or you recently did anyway, I think if I was a donor, I would really be glad about leaving a legacy with St. Francis Foundation, knowing that you would benefit such important causes.
I think what's most important for me in that conversation is that we have this incredible track record of stewarding the funds that have been bequested to us. Again, a large portion of our endowment is, generations ago from the St. Francis Hospital, but we've also had more recent gifts where families chose to designate the St. Francis Foundation as what you might call the trustee of their charitable trust.
Oh, I see.
So we've received specific funds, and then it becomes our responsibility to administer those funds the way the family would have liked. And so if they have an inclination to support healthcare, to support those most in need, we do that with. I think if Tina were here, Tina Frentato is our amazing executive director, she would remind us that donor funds are subject to no overhead. We have an executive director, but when we receive new gifts, we ensure that the legacy endowment is supporting our executive director's salary and any overhead. And so when we receive new bequests, all of those monies can grow and support the causes that they're meant for.
That is great and really important information.
Yeah, so that's a very special thing. And I think back to the grant committee, the committee is always very focused on ensuring the dollars are going to the people who need them.
And Mary, you're the head of that committee, right?
Correct.
Yeah, and Tory, you're the board president, are you?
I serve as the president. I've been the president for a few years now. Kathleen Boschke of Transition House is the previous president. And I came to this committee really driven by my financial background.
Oh, okay.
I'm an investment manager, and a friend pulled me over and said, there's an endowment here, and we have other great finance people on our board at this time. Back, this was 7-8 years ago when we needed finance people.
Yeah.
And so it's been a real blessing for me to be involved.
Gosh, well, we have about a minute left. Is there anything else you'd like our audience to know about St. Francis Foundation?
Well, I would say, look for us online. The legacy giving portal, what we're putting up there, it's all going to be new material. I think it's going to present a new look of the impact. We're going to be making a big effort to pull out these stories that you might otherwise not hear about.
Oh, that's good.
And so I think that'll be fun.
And there's also a list of all the agencies that we
that's good
have
too.
funded.
That'll be good information.
Yeah, so people can get an idea of what our work is, and
you can find, even though the St. Francis Foundation might not be asking you for money, but I think one of our goals is to be a clearinghouse for people who care about trying to solve poverty and help people who are struggling with healthcare costs, that we can be a resource so that they can see these organizations that are on the front lines of that.
Well, thank you both for your just amazing work in our community and for coming on our show to share about your work.
Well, thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you, Cynder. Really a privilege for us to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for joining us on 805 Focus, and we'll see you next time.